If you're listening alone at night, be careful. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the leaves outside, might just be something watching you. If you're by yourself right now, maybe lock your doors, dim the lights, and get comfortable. Because the story I'm about to tell you, it doesn't just happen in one place. It follows you, it listens to your heartbeat, and it waits for those moments when you think you're completely safe. This all started back in 2017. A photographer named Victor was traveling through the rural backwoods of New Hampshire. He was one of those artists who chased after abandoned buildings, looking for that one perfect, haunting shot. One evening, he was driving his car down a quiet highway, the kind that cuts through dense fog-drenched forests. That's when he saw it. A road that wasn't on his map, and it looked ancient, narrow, cracked asphalt, overgrown with weeds, and lined with skeletal twisted trees. Curiosity got the better of him. He stopped the car, the engine's hum dying into a dead silence. The air that seeped in smelled damp and strangely metallic. His camera bag, usually a comforting weight on the passenger seat, suddenly felt impossibly heavy. The road seemed to stretch on forever into the gloom. He started driving down it, slowly, cautiously, and then a house appeared through the thick fog. But it wasn't in ruins, it wasn't abandoned. It was a pristine white house, with warm lights glowing in the windows. He even saw curtains moving, just for a second, as if someone had just peeked out. Victor frowned. This made no sense. This deep in the forest, there was no electricity, no sign of civilization for miles. He parked the car and stepped out. The gravel crunched under his feet, and the sound echoed, or maybe it repeated itself, just a half second behind. The front door was slightly ajar. A faint, flickering light beckoned from inside. Against his better judgment, Victor pushed the door open and stepped in. The air was warm, almost uncomfortably so. Dust motes danced in the beam of his flashlight. He swept the light across the room, and that's when he noticed the walls. They seemed to breathe. A subtle, slow, in-and-out pulse. Then he saw the photographs, hundreds of them. They were everywhere, framed and hanging on the walls, stacked on the floors, cluttering every table, and each photo captured a person. Staring directly at the camera, he stepped closer to one, a chill crawling up his spine. Then he realized every single photo was of him, and these weren't photos he'd taken himself. These were pictures he had no memory of being in. One showed him sleeping in his bed, back in his apartment in the city. Another showed him walking down a street he was sure he'd never visited. A cold, hard dread seized him. He turned to run, to get out of there, but the front door slammed shut with a deafening boom. The lights in the house began to flicker violently. Shadows on the walls detached themselves, moving unnaturally, sliding and shifting into almost human shapes. He bolted for the stairs. As he ran up, the hallway seemed to stretch, becoming longer than physics should allow. Doors appeared in the walls where none had been a moment before. He threw one open, desperate for an escape, and found a room, with him inside. A version of Victor, just sitting in a chair, watching the door. He slammed it shut and tried another, the same thing. Another room, another Victor, standing, sleeping, all of them watching. In one room, there was only a large, ornate mirror. He stared at his own reflection, panting, terrified, and then his reflection smiled, even though his own face was a mask of fear. The reflection leaned closer to the glass, its lips moving. A voice whispered from the mirror, a horrible layering of voices, young, old, male, female, all angry and afraid at once. "We've been waiting for you." Victor stumbled back, screaming, and fled down the hallway. The stairs twisted beneath his feet, the ceiling stretching impossibly high above him. Only one door remained at the end of the hall, partially open, showing the foggy night outside. Freedom. He burst through it and found himself back in the yard. But the house, it was different now. The walls pulsed like a giant breathing lung. The windows blinked open and shut like malevolent eyes. And then the forest began to move. Trees bent and contorted, creating new paths where none existed, blocking off his escape route. From the deepest shadows, pale figures emerged. Some looked human, but others were horribly elongated. Their faces stretched into silent, unnatural screams. They all moved in perfect, horrifying unison. Whispers filled the air from every direction, a chorus of voices sighing, "Stay, stay, stay." He finally found the road, but it wasn't the same one he'd driven in on. There was no highway in the distance, no street signs, nothing. Only the house, looming behind him in the fog, its windows alive, its lights flickering like a monstrous heartbeat. He ran. For what felt like hours, he ran, but nothing changed. The house was always there, just behind him, and then, in the thick fog ahead, he saw them. Dozens of figures, all identical, surrounding him. They were all versions of himself, his past, his future, all standing there, watching him. One stepped forward. It was an older Victor, his eyes hollow and filled with an ancient sorrow. "You can't leave," it said, its voice raspy. "Not yet," Victor screamed, but his voice was swallowed by the fog. The air pressed in on him, thick and suffocating. He felt cold. Spectral hands wrap around his ankles, pulling him down into darkness, into walls that weren't walls, into rooms that stretched on for an eternity. Time fractured around him. He saw moments of his life, his past and his future, all collapsing into one single, endless, terrifying loop. Every happy memory he had was twisted into a shadowy, nightmarish version of itself. The figures laughed, their layered voices echoing in his mind. The house itself whispered in a language he didn't understand, but somehow knew. "We remember everything. We wait for everyone." When he finally awoke, it was dawn. He was lying on the cold gravel of a familiar road, alone. The house was gone. The trees were just trees. The sky was a pale, innocent blue, but his camera bag was gone. His phone was gone. And as he looked towards the forest, he saw a faint light flicker through the trees. It wasn't a house, not quite, but he felt it. He felt watched. Weeks later, Victor's friend said he was different. He was quiet, withdrawn. His eyes were always darting around the room, as if listening for something no one else could hear. Sometimes, late at night, they'd hear him whispering to himself, "It's still here," watching, waiting, and then the photographs started appearing, left on his doorstep in the middle of the night. Photos of his apartment, his office, streets he had walked, and streets he hadn't yet, and in the corner of every single photo a shadow lingered, a dark shape, just out of focus, watching, smiling, waiting. The house, the figures, they weren't gone, they never leave. So if you ever find yourself on a lonely road that shouldn't exist, and you see a house that appears where it can't possibly be, don't stop, don't get curious, don't even slow down, because if it notices you, it follows, and when it follows, it waits always forever. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more chills. Stay safe out there.